Welcome back, everybody, to the wonderful wide world of Pokemon. Of course, this is episode, I want to say 23. Don't quote me on this.
23.
I want to say 23 of the Mount Silver podcast. I should have looked this up. I'm pretty sure it's 23. I have in my notes 23. If it's not 23, hey, I just, Michael Jordan. Nonetheless.
It's either Jordan or Kobe.
That's right.
There we go. Boom. Listen, it's either Jordan or Kobe. With that said, of course, I am Meelz. I am here with the Platinum Chanel boy himself, Jeff.
Yes, what is going on?
And I am also here with Big Gucci Pafifi.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are you?
We're here, but we are not alone this time. We brought in a guest. We needed to bring in an extra brain, an extra knowledge. Yes. Someone who's a friend of the show, but also like a just as, I think, passionate about the world of Pokemon as we are.
He's stamped. Lookout stamped for sure.
Absolutely, lookout stamped for sure. So we had to bring in extra artillery because with this month's topic, I'll be honest, not fully familiar. Not fully. I'm here to just be as surprised and ask these questions, similar to maybe how you guys are. But we're gonna bring John to the show. John, what is up, bro?
What's up, guys? How's it going? Thanks for having me.
What's going on, man?
Great to finally have you on with us, man.
I know. I feel like we've been in the Discord talking Pokemon for the last year or so, especially with like Pokemon Sword and Shield coming out and then kind of everything coming out. You are just in the same boat as us. Whether I feel like everyone could complain about how a game looks or how a game feels, but I'm probably going to buy it.
And I'm having fun playing it.
Oh, absolutely. Right? I love it all of it. It's all good.
That's how we are as adults with Pokemon. Like we don't really like dissect it. If you came up with it hardcore, we're not dissecting it crazy. So it's like, hey, it's Pokemon. It's still fun. So
even the bad stuff's good.
Even the bad stuff's good.
Okay, hang on a second here. I agree with all of this. I have to say, I have spent the last 2 weeks playing Monster Hunter, the new one on Switch.
Yeah.
It is Pokemon's online functionality is so much more shameful than I previously thought it was. I boot up Monster Hunter and we're like, yeah, we're about to do a 4-person multiplayer where we fight something together and it has like PS3 graphics. Yeah, right.
And it went.
The game works beautifully. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So listen, Legends Arceus, I have you in my sights.
I know. I was gonna say Arceus has to have you like on edge because if it doesn't look phenomenal or they don't add the details that people have been complaining about, whether you agree or disagree, I know it's gonna be an issue. So especially with the game that is if they're promoting it as like that true open world shit, I know that people they want the details. It's just only right.
Like I literally didn't think Nintendo would ever make a game with online. Mm-hmm. Like you can just easily party up and do quests online. Like it's like what Phantasy Star Online was supposed to be for GameCube. Except they didn't tell you that like there was not going to be a modem for the GameCube.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've just been thinking about Arceus as I've been playing Monster Hunter, and man, it's going to be interesting.
John, since you're here, first of all, feel free at any time to interject with any sort of opinion or feeling or any strong feeling that you have here. This is a safe Pokemon space. This is the, just everything that you can think of. But I first have to ask, because you have a history with this game and you have a history with Nintendo and stuff like that. I kind of want to get into that a little bit in terms of just like your days with Nintendo, your experiences, your past experiences with Pokemon. What's your first experience with Pokemon? What's your most memorable one? Kind of just like talk kind of openly about it.
Man, so like I go back, really probably my first experience was with the card game back in the day. I was a little older. I think I'm a little older than you guys, so like I was high school, I think, when I started like getting into that or whatever, and I was playing Magic the Gathering. There was a Star Wars card game back then, so I was like a mega nerd. Okay. And so
Star Wars game had hard rules, man. It was a hard game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Pokemon came out, and it it was fun. It was, kind of easy, easy going. The characters seemed cool. So that was kind of my first introduction. I was like, man, this little duck that gets headaches is awesome. And so like I was way into the card game. Like doing tournaments and stuff back then. Even got to the point where I was like running tournaments. It was pretty crazy. Flash forward, like I've always been in Nintendo. NES, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, like all the way back. So got into the Game Boy games pretty big as well. Flash forward to now, or I guess more recently, like worked for Nintendo for a few years as like a regional rep. So I'd go around to like stores talking about all this stuff and like, showing them the new games as they were coming out and demoing and
that's all.
Damn, okay.
How was that experience?
Running events and stuff. So like I've kind of done a little bit of all of it, through the years and have, experience from both sides, both, as a loyal consumer and, as a employee within the machine.
So what would you say is probably the most memorable thing? Like, was one of those most memorable, like, was it a launch or just like some sort of, encounter? Maybe you met Pokemon, one of the people from whichever company, Nintendo or it is. What would you say was probably the most memorable thing of your entire experience with Nintendo?
Man, so like, my most memorable Pokemon thing probably has been just playing with my kids. So I've got 3 kids. My oldest son is 11 now, so he was 6 when the 20th anniversary was going on 5 years ago. And they had that really cool, new 3DS that had the Charizard plates or the Blastoise plates. Y'all remember that?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, absolutely. So got him that, which was his first 3DS, and he was just so hyped with it. And was still kind of learning to read at that point. So we were kind of reading together and, playing the game, and told my wife that we needed to, play the game so that I could teach him how to read a little bit better. So, got some extra game time that way.
Yeah,
expert
did it the
move.
right way.
Yeah.
That's how I'm gonna parent. I don't have no kids yet, but hey, baby, we gotta teach our kid how to read.
Well, listen, playing Pokemon games, that's the way you're gonna learn how to read because there's no voices in it.
Sure, right. The only way.
So if you don't know how to read, you're screwed. Any generation, first, last, middle.
Come on,
part.
Arceus, give us some voice actors.
No, definitely not. I doubt it. I heavily doubt it. That's all amazing, man. This is incredible. First of all, we're glad to have you on the show, just to kind of help with this Pokemon trading card game venture that we're doing on this month. But I want to talk about a little bit of news, a little bit of Pokemon news, stuff we got to do. First of all, does anyone had any random Pokemon grievances they want to air out currently?
Random
just like
Pokemon grievances?
Just like, yo, why is this person's tail this color? Or like, I hate this part in this game.
Bro, release the pillows stateside.
Listen, it's not happening.
I was seconds away from paying $180 for a Dratini neck pillow, and then I talked myself off the ledge.
You should have texted me. I would have talked you back onto the ledge. Go ahead and do that.
Knew you would have. That's why I didn't do it.
I'm about to say, go ahead and do it, Pat. That's definitely a Jeff purchase, but it's crazy to
100%.
me. It is. But when I was young, when I started doing this shit, like I would go to. I know y'all know some of you guys might know Books A Million. Books A Million was like my spot.
Oh yeah.
So that's where I would go and battle and whatever, buy, have fun. And the game has definitely changed, but I actually love the old school gritty art. That original art style for Pokemon. I did fall off as soon as they started to kind of reach out a little bit more, and some cards
jazz it up a little bit.
Yeah, I get it. You got to change with the times and stuff, but I don't really have any major grievances as far as the trading card game is concerned, because
it doesn't have to be trading card. It could be anything that's been on your mind as of recently. John, has there anything been on your mind as recently with Pokemon that you're just like, wow, this is Well, I don't know why this is on my mind, but we're here.
Man, so kind of echo Pat. Like they get so much more cool stuff in Japan. Obviously, and because it is a Japanese company, and but there's just so much better stuff. Merch and cards and just kind of the whole thing. I just wish some of that stuff would come stateside or be a little bit easier to acquire. And that's kind of my big bummer, at least like with the 25th anniversary and all that going on.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
I have the same feelings with Pat too, and you too, John, because even with like the anime side of it, I'll be on Crunchyroll to order like some Jujutsu plush, and like I can pre-order it right now, and it's not coming out till October. It's like, and it's out in Japan now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just send it to me right now. Like
The games come out on the same days now. Why can't the merch?
Yeah.
Right. You know what we forgot to talk about last time, which is
What's that?
I don't know whether it's a thing or not. We forgot to talk about the 25th anniversary thing. Did you guys see that Post Malone performance of Pokemon?
Yeah.
Wait, didn't he did the Hootie and the Blowfish song, didn't he?
Yes,
He did.
He did that.
Yeah.
There's a whole 14-minute performance. First of all, that eventually was flagged on YouTube and taken down and had to be put back up.
First off, the idea that he did this for 14 minutes is absolutely insane. However, I have it in Apple Music. I just haven't had the courage to play it yet. But I can absolutely perfectly picture Post singing the Blowfish song. Like I can hear it in my head already.
It's better than I thought it would be, for sure.
It was cool.
Right?
Like graphically, it was pretty neat. Like I thought it was a cool idea.
There's a whole 14-minute video of it that's like, they're like, oh, Post Malone's underwater, mad water types and legendaries and shit like that. It's like a whole experience. And I was just like, wow. First of all, they did a whole like countdown stream to it, like 2 hours of a countdown stream for a 14-minute video. I was like, damn, peak Pokemon. But I was just like, wow, this is kind of amazing, kind of cool, but also like I might not watch this again. But it was fun for the experience. I applaud Pokemon for at least, I think more now than ever, they've realized they are a brand much more than like a video game, a card game. They are a piece of pop culture in general, and they've decided, hey, let's take advantage of that.
This is it.
Speaking of games, end of this month, I believe it is April 30th, new Pokemon Snap, as titled. Not Pokemon Snap, new Pokemon Snap.
I stand by. It's a great title.
I love it. Cool. Let us know it's new. We know.
Let us know. Not Pokemon Snap 2021. Not Pokemon Snap 2K. Pokemon Snap. New Pokemon Snap.
New Pokemon Snap.
Are we any more interested? I think there's been a new trailer that come out. Is there any new interest, or you're just like, I knew I was always going to get this and nothing has kind of wavered my thoughts?
I knew I was gonna get it, and nothing has wavered my thoughts. It's I have the original. I don't have any like. I'm not like, hey, I'm not gonna text you guys and be like, hey guys, it's really not that good. It's Pokemon Snap. I'm not really anticipating a masterpiece. I just want to play because it's Pokemon, and I can take pictures and upload them to Twitter and get a few retweets. It's all good. Like I'm cool with it. It's like John said, it's all good. It's just Pokemon. But we're also adults, so I do like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to put it in perspective. Like, it's how serious am I supposed to take this?
Interesting. Yeah. John, have you any things?
Yeah, like I'm excited about it. I have like, I know I've played Pokemon Snap back in the day. I have no memories of it though, so this would be kind of a new experience.
Come on, man.
All right.
Got to get that Mew. At the end of the original, you had to go to space and shoot Mew. And give you a space suit and everything.
Yeah, I don't know if I made that.
It was tough.
I didn't know that existed. Thanks a lot.
It exists. It's really difficult, but it exists.
Oh, wow. Okay. Turn that up. Second bit of news. Possibly new Nintendo Switch. This isn't necessarily Pokemon news, but I think it affects everything Pokemon related, or at least that's how I'm going to pitch this anyway. New Pokemon Switch, not Pokemon Switch, Nintendo Switch coming in the future.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a Pro type. I think they're doing.
They just added some kind of Bluetooth thing in the software too. Apparently,
I was like, wait, why doesn't this have Bluetooth already? It didn't have Bluetooth.
They
No,
do.
well, I don't know. All I know is like when I get on, I play Overwatch a lot. I play it on PS5 and Switch, but the Switch is great because I mean you just can't beat the Switch, obviously. And it'll every time I get on fucking Overwatch, it says like you join the voice chat. And I'm like, there is no voice
There is
chat.
no
It's a
voice
fucking
chat.
Switch.
Yeah. It can just be you and the person who's in that like playing with you. That's it.
I just play with like a couple of my friends and we just FaceTime audio each other while we play.
Listen, that's how the kids do it. To be honest with you, as someone who has my 10-year-old niece, legitimately, that's how they play Fortnite and every other game. It's just like, okay, let's FaceTime audio or some other shit.
I'll be reporting this to the other 30-plus-year-olds, and we'll do we'll do an excited fist pump.
Nintendo Switch Pro. It looks like it's coming out, bigger screen, 4K, all these other things. I'm excited. I don't know if this will affect anything with Pokemon Arceus or the remakes. Honestly, remakes don't even. Does it need 4K? I don't think so.
No.
The Chibi remakes, no.
Yeah, I don't think they're worried. I know for a fact that Arceus game will come out. They're gonna push it. It's gonna have some type of pro update or whatever the case.
Well, were you guys a fan of like the additional drops? Not like the ones that were like, okay, get this. It's like for obviously marketed for kids. But were you guys like interested in the past, like Nintendo 3DS XL or like Game Boy SP or something? I don't know, or something along those lines.
The SP was great, honestly, for what it did because of the fucking. I mean,
Screen.
having a backlight on that.
Yeah,
was
the backlight
like,
was really a big deal.
That's insane that they didn't have them before that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll say that I had a 3DS and my roommate had a 3DS XL, and it was obviously better, but I wasn't like, it's Nintendo. I don't like know that trading in and then paying $100 extra
It's not really
gonna
that
be worth it.
Oh, they got me. I'm gonna have everyone. Every version.
I respect it. I respect it.
That's what John was saying about the 20th anniversary 3DS. I got it, but it did not come in an XL format.
Nope.
So that 3DS is like I have it in my hand right now. It's beautiful. It's really nice. Like the buttons, it's definitely something that they haven't done with any other one. But it's not an XL. It doesn't even come in XL.
Because they don't really rock with the XL in Japan. That's why. So
they don't. But my Pikachu one, the Pikachu edition that I got, which I ended up selling for like $400 down the line. But my that one was XL, which was weird.
Yep.
I don't understand what they were. I mean, it's fine. Like, but when it came to like PlayStation, like, I had a PS4, then the PS4 Pro came out. I did get the Pro, so I'm gonna get another Switch, obviously. You know how it should go.
Yeah, of course. Let's get to the main event. That was really all of it for Pokemon news, unless I'm deep diving into like, did you hear that Iris is coming back in the anime?
No, you're fine.
But with that said, let's get into the actual main event. This thing we're talking about, the Pokemon trading card game. I would say when I saw. Let's talk about kind of the resurgence of this and kind of the beginnings of this and the origins of this in a sense. And I don't have actual like concrete information. So if you're expecting like a YouTube video on the history of Pokemon trading card game, this isn't it. This is just an open discussion.
Go watch one.
Yeah, go watch one. Essentially, go watch one. And then report back and let me know of all the things I said wrong or all the other things. Like it doesn't matter.
It's fine.
But with that said, when I saw so many times, so I follow Hype Beast on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Hype Beast has, for some reason, been keeping tabs.
They're part of the problem.
Yeah,
they're part of the problem.
Legitimately, have been keeping tabs.
You're telling me a site called Hype Beast is?
But the thing is like,
I go to Hype Beast 3 times a day.
I always like, all right, I have it on Instagram. It's good for like, oh, I didn't know that was coming out and stuff like that.
Reason, yeah.
And I just have it because it's like, wow, that's great. But I feel like they've been keeping very close tabs on the Pokemon trading card, I guess, resurgence over the last like year or so.
Yeah.
Because they have been the ones informing me that, this card, someone sold a holographic first edition something Charizard for 226 $100,000 or something
Right,
along
right,
those lines. Like
yeah.
those type of information. So when I see those things, when I see Jeff, I mean, Jeff has always been into the trading card game, so I'll always hear about it from him. But when I see people online like, oh, I just copped these many shining fates, you know, boxes,
Mhm.
etc., or booster packs, etc., like that, and either I'm going to reopen them or like I'm putting them up on StockX, etc. Then I
Yeah.
kind of wonder, like, how did we get here?
Yeah, no, StockX as well, part of the problem. And don't get me wrong, like cards being worth more money than what they are, that's been around way before Pokemon. You know, it's just the culture of it and the internet. I mean, even when we were kids, you could, regardless of how you were taking care of your cards, there were cards that were just naturally worth more, you know, first edition,
Yeah.
second edition, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's changed because, you know, we're obviously in the boom of social media interaction and we're selling digital moments now in sports. We're selling obviously cards, and it's not just Pokemon. This is like a wide thing. You know, sports cards are just booming
It
right now.
allows it to be
You
more
know,
exploitive because you don't have to seek it out.
absolutely. My main issue with, you know, sports cards being incredibly, you know, selling fast and selling at high prices, rookie cards, sign cards, whatever, and Pokemon cards is one is a child's card game. And when you
Mm-hmm.
start adding grown men and women in that aspect, going out, buying 10 different, I mean, John Meelz, you know, we were in the Pokemon chat talking about just trying to find
Mm-hmm.
some of these things, you know, like trying to find some of these packs. And you know, John, before you got on, I was telling Meelz and Pat, and I may be getting ahead of myself, but the hype beast shit is kind of triggering. I took my brother I took my brother to go get some packs the other day, and I did find them. It took me a little bit. The only reason I found them is because down the street I have a place called Super Games, which is a card place. You know, they have Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, blah blah, and you know they resell cards. They have the packs there, but you know, $11 a pack.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Yep.
I had to overpay just to get my little brother, you know, 40 bucks just to get him some packs. And I just, don't get me wrong, like when we were kids, obviously we were paying retail, whatever they were at Walmart at the time. I think it was like $7.50 or some shit like that. Fine, you know, our parents did it, called it a day. But now, man, all these kids, we're adults. We came up with this shit. But the kids who are doing it right now, I feel really bad for them because they can't just go to Walmart, Target, and grab the Shining Face box or, you know, whatever the case may, whatever they're looking for. They can't. It's hard to do. You can't just walk around and find it. You got to go somewhere that is not even a franchise business and pay and get taxed.
Right.
You know, and I
Right.
think it's wrong, honestly. Like, I understand specific cards, Charizards, you know, Venusaurs, you know, whatever, full art, you know, hollow. I get it. You know, stuff's gonna be worth money no matter what.
But that stuff happened naturally because of literally like mom and pop card shops and
Exactly.
like the tournaments that John is talking about and that like
Exactly.
but like even like you'd have to go on the internet and like prices weren't updating every minute. They were updating, you know, every few months. Like you could buy a magazine that had card prices in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane. And and you had to know where to get that stuff to do it. But now like it's literally like, you know, not just at the top of Hypebeast, it's probably in bigger, you know, mainstream publications. I don't have any like evidence to point that out, but I wouldn't be
I think
shocked
the
if this
mere
boom hasn't been covered in New York Times and stuff.
the mere fact that these cards are being sold on StockX to me is just the wildest shit that I've ever heard of in my life. Like, and I know StockX sells like not just sneakers,
Of course,
I
sell
mean,
other things.
it's just an overlap from, you know, sneaker, you know, side of things. Like
culture. Yeah.
all the sneakerheads couldn't get shoes, so they're like, okay, well, what's something else I can get and, you know, and resell? And so
Right.
they got into Pokemon cards, and you know, there's lines and fights and arguments, and you know, it's really nuts. You know, kind of started out, I guess, with sports cards, and then
Mm-hmm.
you know, people started opening up, you know, boxes of first edition on YouTube, and you know, saying this box is worth $1 million. Like I'm gonna open up, you know, and get a
Yeah.
you know 10 out of 10 Charizard, and you know, resell it for 100,000, and you know, then it's
Rich
just like
people, by
people
the
see
way.
money and they're like, okay, well, you know, let me
People
try
who
and
are
get more of
already
that.
wealthy. You know, spending a lot of money on things that aren't at access to regular people and then flipping it. And, you know, people who actually love it and care about it, they're never seeing these things.
Right.
They're
Well,
never gonna get a chance.
before we get too far into the future and the current stuff like that, let's roll back to the past, because this, believe it or not, similar things that are happening now was definitely happening 20 years ago during the Pokemon, especially the boom of it. I mean, Pokemon is big now, and I think, but when it was 20 years ago, I'm not saying it's bigger, but at least the hype was a lot more crazier considering how new, fresh, and kind of
I can agree with
just
that.
the pandemonium. We've talked about this. I mean, we talked about this since like the second episode of the pandemonium of Pokemon. Just kind
Still
of
nothing
really
ever like it.
Yeah, dictating. I mean, it's just crazy. Talk about your first. Let's go around. Let's talk about Pat. Let's go through Pat, then Jeff, then John. Kind of our first experiences with the Pokemon trading card game, if any. What do Pat? What do you remember your first experiences with Pokemon TCG?
Oh, I don't know where Pat went.
Okay,
might have lost him.
I hope not.
Sorry, I was muted. I'm still here. Don't worry. I'm muted. I'm sorry. I started and I was doing great. So I kept setting the cup of coffee down right next to the mic, and I was freaking out that there was like a huge clang every 2 seconds. Okay.
Go off.
So anyway, I don't remember exactly like how. I mean, I was in 3rd, 4th grade when I think when this was happening, and so people brought shit to school, and there was so much hype around like what people brought to school because school was the most boring thing in the whole world, and Pokemon eventually got like banned from recess because it was so popular and like no one was doing real recess. But I remember I'm an obsessive, so I saw this and it was like, oh wait, I'm sorry, this exists. Like I need to get I was like, Mom, we got to go to fucking Target or something, immediately. And my parents were, God bless them, they were like just indulgent enough with most of my obsessions. Like they never let me spend like crazy money on stuff or anything, but they like allowed me to obsessively become a fan of things, which I really appreciated. And so like I remember the first night that the Fossil set came out, you could only get it at one specific mall. And I remember going to that mall like to get like Fossil booster packs, and I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like nobody else is going to have these. But so I remember getting one of the star. It was either the Mewtwo or the Machamp one. Like everybody, everybody. It was like red or blue. It's hard to remember even which one you had first. But those were going around. So everybody was mostly just playing with these pre-made decks. But then eventually, like a lot of other stuff, it was just hype for some people. But then I kept playing. And I remember I kind of ran the table at the Pokemon League at Zany Brainy for a little while, and then they figured out that I was like doing too many sudden death matches, and I like shouldn't have had as many badges as I had. But I made it to like I think like Cinnabar before it was like, oh, I don't even know anybody going to this anymore. I gotta bail. But then I do remember towards the very end of my Pokemon card experience was when the like. For some reason, Zany Brainy was also where I got a GameCube, even though it was kind of like a high-end toy store. But they got like 10 GameCubes when they went on sale, and they like let me pre-order one because nobody else asked to pre-order a GameCube at Zany Brainy. So shout out to them. And they for some reason also sold Japanese Japanese cards, but then they banned Japanese cards because we've talked about this. That one Misty card with the Staryu. Where she's like topless and it's like covering her up. Like some Karen saw that, and then Japanese cards were banned from Zany Brainy. And I was fucking 12 at the time, and I was like, how dare you? This card's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And I don't know. Then I remember I had a Charizard at some point. I wish I don't know what happened to it, but it kills me. I wish I still had it. But yeah, I don't know. It was so popular, for a little while, and I think the card game is probably what bridged the gap from Red and Blue to Gold and Silver for a lot of people.
Sure,
so
absolutely.
Ooh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Jeff, what is your experience?
I had just gotten to the South, so we had just left. I left LA when I was like I left LA young. I was in New York, New Jersey, and then I moved to the South. So and it was just me and my mother at the time. And like Pat, my mom was very supportive. My daddy was a gangbanger, so he was supportive too, but he didn't understand it. Okay, so he didn't understand it. So there were times where I would go visit my
I
dad.
appreciate the context.
You got to know. You got to understand what we were dealing with. So my mother is a very smart woman. She made sure I kind of got what I wanted. So if she went to Walmart, I was going with her. But my real first experience with it was the first pack I got. My first holographic was the Gyarados. You guys remember the Gyarados, the swirl,
Oh
the
yeah.
Of
art
course,
blue.
yeah.
That was my first
Oof, with
holo
the little
ever.
green.
Yeah, I ended up trading it with this guy named John, oddly enough, in this trailer park I was living. We were living in this trailer park in South Carolina, and this dude John had an Articunos, and I traded him the Articunos.
Ooh.
Yeah, no cap. And it was the fossil one, the fossil Articunos, and that was my first like trade. And ever since then, it was just over. I had bought the game. I remember the
The
cartridge was like
adrenaline
black,
rush. You can feel like all
like
the blood rushing to his.
yeah, the
Yeah.
Pokemon trading card cartridge was like all black. Like I was, oh, this is serious right here. Like this is, and I really, man, like I was into it, bro. The books a million, the battling, putting everything in cases, trying to get off on other people trading. I mean, it was like a little stock market for kids back then. Like we were really I was really investing. Like I was really into it, but you think you're taking care of something and you're not. So a lot of my cards, I do have some of the same cards I had when I was 8 years old, but as
Mhm.
far as the condition of them, they're not great. Like my earliest experience with Pokemon, man, was Pokemon cards. The game did do me in, and I loved it, but I don't think I fell in love with it until I could truly interact with other people because I didn't have a link cable or anything at that time to like really play with other people. But Pokemon cards, you had to interact, and
Mhm.
I was in a new state. I was on the other side of the country. It was different for me. It was weird for me, and honestly, as crazy as it sounds, Pokemon cards really brought me out of my shell, dude. Honestly, as far as just
Mhm.
being able to communicate, and I'm getting kind of deep here, but you don't know what anxiety is as a kid.
No, please.
Like you
This is
really don't know
great.
what anxiety is as a kid. And Pokemon cards took me out, man. I'll never forget going to the movie and getting that Mew card and having my mom put it in her purse for me, so like it stayed cool. And I still have that card to the date. So
Wow.
I
I
just
wish
I
I
just
had
That's
all
think
those
great.
memories.
yeah, I just think like um, it's such a experience, like getting something that you weren't sure you were going to get when you open something up and you don't have no idea what it is. And I just fell in love with it. And at that point, I was trying to get as many cards as I possibly could. I was definitely one of those kids. I did the same with Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon as well. I had Dragon Ball Z cards, Gundam cards. I don't know if you guys remember that, but there was some weird shit that was going on, and I do blame Pokemon for every single bit of it. Like, I really do. I mean, uh, I feel like there is the trading card game, the world, as far as pop culture. I think it's not the same without
Mm.
Pokemon. I really feel
Yeah.
that way, and I'll probably go to the grave feeling that way. But yeah, my earliest experience, man, that was basically it, man. Just I think it did something to me socially. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. John, you talked a little bit earlier about your experiences, your first kind of experiences with the game. What did you remember kind of just like overall about that, like that sort of era? And like, what do you remember like the first things you picked up and like all this other stuff? And like, if you had any troubles or etc., like in school or
John was
any other
older. He was getting
places?
money at this time.
So, like, a lot of to echo a lot of the same stuff Jeff was saying though, like that the card game stuff, like Magic, like I said, the Star Wars game, Pokemon. I mean, that really was kind of how at that point I was interacting with people. Was kind of a nerd, didn't have a ton of friends at school.
Mhm.
The friends that I had at school were friends that were doing this too. So like we would go, there's a comic book shop, down the road. We would go meet up there on Saturdays. They'd have like tournaments and we just hang out there all day and just play. Whatever card game we were playing at the time. And so, like it was kind of an escape, but also a way to, kind of interact with people and kind of, find my people, I guess.
Yeah, bridge that gap.
absolutely. So, that was kind of, what really started it for me, and what really kind of made me fall in love with that whole side of things. Go back, gosh, like probably base set 2, like Fossil, Jungle,
Mhm.
Team Rocket's my all-time favorite set.
Such a good
The
set.
art in that
The
set
art is so good. Oh
is
my
so
god.
good.
Yeah.
And I've still got a ton of those cards.
Yeah, I'm looking through them now.
But yeah, I mean the art, Dark Charizard, Dark Blastoise, and I've always kind of had a soft spot for Team Rocket. I think they're misunderstood. I think, you know, they're not as bad as people think.
You're on the right path.
Yeah,
Anti-heroes.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
So anyway, that, just kind of going back, and even to this day, like the joy of opening a pack of Pokemon cards, like Jeff was saying, not knowing what's going to be in there, and then pulling out something, really good, or
Rush, man.
even not really good, but just it looks cool. It's just, it's exciting. It's just a rush. And that's kind of what got me back into it. Kind of brought me back to the joy of it during the pandemic. Not much else to do.
Right. I'll say personally, my experience is, I don't know, New York City, 1999. What was out? I don't remember. Nonetheless, I remember the first kind of trading little booster packs thing I would be able to buy from like a corner store or like some pharmacy or like some other shit. I wasn't sure. And then a large part of it was going, to your friends at school. And yeah, they also banned it in my school because they're like, yo, you guys aren't paying attention. I hate when they ban things that they just can't regulate, because they're like, oh, you guys are having too much fun and not paying attention at school. It's like,
have you encountered this now yourself?
No, kids do what they want.
What's the stupidest thing that got banned that you would have expected?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Bro, Harry Potter books were taken out of my school. Yes.
Because of like witchcraft and shit?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow.
No cap. I was in South Carolina, so keep that in mind.
Okay, yeah.
See, I'm in Tennessee, so same experience here.
Yeah,
We had,
John.
yeah, Bible Belt, man. They're serious about that stuff. Magic, witchcraft, no, none of that.
Yeah.
So Magic cards back in the day, like that, we could bring the Star Wars cards to school. We could bring the Pokemon cards to school for a while, but like Magic cards, they thought we were like, doing like tarot and calling up the devil.
Yeah, because it was the 90s. There was still like satanic panic shit
Zionism
going on. Like I remember, like I play Dungeons and Dragons now, and I joke with my mom. I'm like, I play it, and Mom, somehow I've managed to not do a school shooting. Because that was like, I'd like look at like the starter set for Dungeons and Dragons, at like Borders or something, and I'd be like, Mom, can I get this like with a gift card? And one, I didn't know that you like need. I didn't understand how Dungeons and Dragons worked at all. I just thought like the box looked cool. Yeah. But she was like, no, like the Columbine guys played that, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What's Columbine?
That's how OD I would respond. I would say just the booster packs. I remember specifically getting the Safari Zone pack for Christmas. The big one where I can just like go through all of them. My first memorable holographic that I remember getting is Moltres. I remember it being a lot about fake Pokemon cards, and if you hold it up to the light and you're able to see through it, it's 100% fake, and you need to not bring that shit around us.
Yeah, no fake cards.
No fake cards.
I remember that because they sold a lot of counterfeit Pokemon cards.
Yeah, you had to be careful.
Back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm not sure how much it is still now. Is it still, because they look like they got that shit.
Tough. Yeah, it's tough, bro.
It's tough to...
Okay, this is because my place was pretty good about catching fakes, I guess, or like claim they were. But can we just talk briefly about like card shops real quick? Because I think it's really funny how basically like Pokemon was the first card game stateside that wasn't sports cards, but they mostly ended up being sold at sports. Like before, you could get them at like the place isn't there anymore. But I remember I went to Compendium Collectibles to get Pokemon cards, and that's where they had like Magic the Gathering tournaments and all that stuff. So there was some like Magic the Gathering stuff going on, but obviously
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon brought like a whole new level of popularity to it.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
Magic the Gathering is also like, you know, even though the cards have the craziest, nerdiest names ever, it still is like obvious English stuff. So even if you're saying like Drakius the Tormentor, like that, you know, it still sounds like an American fantasy thing. But it was really fucking funny watching these old school card shop guys adapt to like saying the word Mewtwo in their everyday lives.
I know.
Like they made it to like age 60 without having to do shit like that, and then and they had to win all these Pokemon.
Imagine not liking Pokemon as one of these card shops, and you absolutely have to sell it because it's godly.
It's bringing in like an untold level of money.
Yeah, you just have to do it. Like.
People are. I looked at. I remember when I was doing the Lookout Social, and I think I was doing some anniversary stuff for the Pokemon card games, and I posted a video. There's a full length video of like, you know, you on YouTube of like Pokemon cards expose, find out what they're doing to your kids in school, and you know, card shops, they're like overselling it. They're like, yeah, people who are like in card shops is like, yeah, I mean, $80 I'm selling these things for, man, and they're going off like crazy, like et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just like, damn, this is, I mean, I remember specifically the craze. I mean, the pandemonium for Pokemon, again, it's still like one of the biggest things. It's like that. What was another pandemonium? I feel like Spice Girls were, for some particular reason.
I remember the Spice Girl shit was crazy.
Spice Girl stuff was crazy.
It was when America gets a fascination with something, they attach onto it and then they suck all the life of it and then kick it aside eventually. But nonetheless, like, it was crazy. And I remember, gosh, I'm trying to think of, because I was trying to do the smoothest segue. But all right, so here it was. I remember specifically all my friends kind of like, okay, we're going to take care of these because in the future, these are going to be worth a lot. And I remember specifically being told this in 1999, 2000, and everyone had their booklets and had their, you had to slide them in. Of course, it's like 16 a page or 9 a page or whatever the fuck it was anymore. I forget. You slid them in, you held them tight. You didn't really play the game. Me and my friends never played the game, which is another question I'm going to ask you guys in the future of how the hell this game is played.
Sure.
But we never actually played the game. We just collected the cards, and we would, as soon as we get a new one, we would put them right in the slot, put the little booster thing in the slot, put the little imposter oak, all these other things, just put them in there, save them. And it was like, yo, in 20 years, and you just have a booklet of it. It's like, yo, in 20 years, it's going to be so amazingly great. And now you look like we're in 2021 and, you know, $226,000 for a Charizard card and stuff like that. And people were selling these cards for one. People were essentially, I read a article on Hypebeast. It's like, oh, the pandemic hit me super hard, and then I went down to my parents' basement, found my Pokemon cards, and then made $1.9 million. Like, and just from the aspect of like just selling these things and the whole experience of it. I want to ask, and maybe this is a question for John, what determines the value of these actual cards?
So, I mean, the biggest thing, like, is condition, obviously. So, you know, like you were talking about how, you know, you and all your friends were, you know, like, we need to keep these pristine so that, you know, one day, like, most people didn't, right? Most people had them rubber banded up in their pocket and, you know, would pull them out at recess and, you know, whatever. So most of the old stuff is in, you know, basically garbage condition now, if it's around at all. You know, a lot of it, you know, mom threw them away or, you know, threw them in the recycling, you know, 10 years ago and, you know, just got rid of them. So, you know, there's just not that many. There's not as many around as there used to be, right? So, and the condition, you know, of the ones that are around are not good. So if you find one that was kept in, you know, like pristine condition, it's that much more valuable. And, you know, one of the things that people do now is, you know, these grading services to get a card graded. you mail it off, and these people in an office somewhere, like look over the card and they'll see how it's centered. They'll see what the condition looks like, see if there's any scratches on the foil surface, or if there's any dings in the corners or anything like that. And if it's perfect, they'll give it a 10, right? And so the Charizard that gets like $250,000 is a PSA 10, and PSA is the grading company. And so that basically means that this is a perfect condition Charizard card.
Mm-hmm.
Truth is, though, if you find your old Charizard, it's probably not a 10. It's probably not a 5. It's probably like a 2 or a 3, if that. Based on what condition we actually kept our cards in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the biggest thing, is just the condition of the cards, and the how old they are and how rare they are, and if it's a first edition, or shadowless, or one of the old sets. Those are the ones that are really fetching top dollar right now.
Right. All right. So I remember continuing sort of my experience also with this entire thing. I opened the pack. I mean, the Safari Zone pack, looked at all the cards, et cetera, et cetera. And then I looked, and it was like, oh, they gave me these tiny little jewel things. These like little balls of whatever.
I was waiting for
yeah,
this.
apparently.
Talking about counters?
Little. I was like, oh, they gave me this bag of shit.
Meelz like, what's this plastic diamond?
What's this shit? I'm just gonna use this. I remember I was just playing with my action figures back in the day. I'm gonna use this for something that the bad guys needs to steal in order to obtain. Like,
I'll keep it real. I did the same thing. Goku, Super Saiyan Goku was protecting one of those from a giant snake I had.
Yeah, but like, I had no idea what they were. So my second question is, how I'm gonna go to you, Jeff, in this one. Sure. How exactly the fuck you play this game? Because I don't know how to play this game at all. I've never played the game. I think someone tried to teach me how to play the game.
Right.
And I was just like, this ain't what Pokemon is about, bro.
Well, I mean, the main thing still applies. So, 6 prizes. Sometimes people will play 4 or whatever the case may be, but 6 prizes.
What's a prize?
The prize is, so when you start to play Pokemon, if you ever watched any of the tournaments, like on YouTube, whatever, you'll take 6 cards from your from your deck and put them to the side. So when you feint another Pokemon, you pick a prize, and when you picked all 6 of your prizes, you've won the game. Now nowadays we have different conditions, like some of the EX cards. If you feint a Pokemon using that EX card, it allows you to take 2 prizes. That's super, like, this is like new school shit. So it varies. The game is still played the exact same way. They just added EX and tag team and all this other fun stuff.
So what are all the HP points and the move things and all this other stuff?
Okay, Meelz. So basically, you have each one of your turns, it's like a standard trading card game where you start with the deck, you draw, I want to say 7 cards, 6 or 7 cards, and among those cards, you want there to be a certain number of energy cards, and the energy cards are the same as Pokemon types. And so, you'll have lightning energy, fire energy, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You can play one of those a turn. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong at any point here. You can play one of those a turn. And those, in turn, let you play either Pokemon themselves or different cards, which a potion, a Pokemon doll, and escape rope, whatever, what have you. But you can put a Charmander out for 2 fire cards. But then to evolve into Charmeleon, you need to have obviously more than just those 2.
Okay, so check this out.
Yeah,
you put the Charmander. Say you got Charmander down. You can't evolve it to the next turn. You got to have Charmeleon on you. You can still put your Charmeleon down without that Charmander having any energies on it. You just won't be able to attack. So say that Charmander has a scratch move that needs 2 fire energies. It shouldn't be 2, but let's say it needed 2 fire energies. You can only put 1 on a turn, and you have to be strategic because you have to set your bench. So you can have John. Is it 5 on the bench? Or is
Yeah.
it? Wait, it's more than 5. 5 on the bench.
I think so.
So
It's been a while since I've actually played the game.
I know, yes. I think it's 5 on the bench, but you can also choose to prepare your bench. So you have to think, damn, should I put an energy card on the Pokemon I have in play, or I should start getting ready for one of my 5 on the bench? And say, for example, you were like, you know what, let me put this Fire Energy on Charmander and use Scratch. Scratch does 10. So if my opponent has a Kangaskhan and his HP is 90, it's now 80 because I hit it with Scratch. See what I'm saying? And if you get it down,
Meelz, those counters that you slam dunked into the trash are how you would keep track of.
That's how you keep track of the damage.
Wait a minute. All right.
True story.
So then once that Kangaskhan faints, if somehow this Charmander is able to scratch this Kangaskhan to death, or
let's
Jeff
say you evolve that
whatever,
Charmander. Yeah.
So Charmeleon ends up killing this Kangaskhan.
Right.
Then Jeff takes his first prize card.
Exactly, and then you just keep going until you have one of the other player has all their prizes.
I have a question for John. How much of, because I felt like it greatly was at least originally the Pokemon mechanics, was it just basically a dumbed down version of Magic?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. It was basically, as opposed to, I guess, like Magic, you put the lands out kind of on their own, right?
The lands don't really ever get attached to anything, but they are the same as it's
similar
You
mechanics.
use them to play spells. Yeah.
And it was all Wizards of the Coast was the company that made both games.
Mm-hmm. They were really smart to snatch up Pokemon like this.
And so that's kind of what created it all. Was basically kind of like a reskin of Magic and what was going on with that.
It's just we were kids,
and
it was directed towards kids, so they simplified it. And
it certainly is simpler. Like there's not a stat, or at least when I played the card game, there wasn't like a, you could spend a long time resolving a turn in Magic because of the way the counter spells work.
Oh, I believe it.
Like games could last for fucking ever, and Pokemon, they obviously didn't want that to happen because it's based on a kid's game.
And Meelz, I mean, honestly, it's still similar to actually playing Pokemon on your Game Boy. I mean, weaknesses still apply. Right. if you want to retreat your Pokemon and put somebody out from the bench, you got to take the energies off and discard them. It's still like, it's simple. Nowadays it may look a little bit more confusing because you see the EX and the tag team and the Gigantamax and take 2 prize cards instead and that type of stuff.
The sole reason why I'm like, what's going on here? What? I blame Yu-Gi-Oh! I blame Yu-Gi-Oh! For having life points, and it's like, oh, it's subtraction. I just summon these, and I put these out, and then you just, of course, there's a set number that you have to thing and stuff like that. So I blame Yu-Gi-Oh! For
prizes is Pokemon's life points.
Okay.
You just got to pull all your prize, and they're face down, so you don't know what you're going to get. Your freaking Charizard may be your prize, and
you don't want your 6th card to be the card you need the most.
You just never know, though. Like you put your prizes down face down. You don't pick which ones you put. So that there's a strategy to it, but it's just mostly like it's fun. It's luck of the draw, heart of the cards, I guess you could say.
Right.
That was the worst feeling back in the day when you lose a match and you've been looking for this card the whole game.
Oh, and you pull your prizes up,
and you pull up your prize, and it's like, oh man, there it was the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's crazy. All right, so let's fast forward to a little bit of the future, a little bit, into, I guess, 20 years later, until the period of now, at least, where there's so much sort of hype, there's so much fever, there's so much, I guess now, value in all these things, that it becomes less about the actual trading card game and more about what kind of cards you can get your hands on and how you can use it and kind of like collect them and et cetera like that. Because Jeff so passionately at the beginning of this
I'm sorry, bro. I just don't, I feel the same way about sneakers, by the way. Like I hate the culture of it all, but even me, I do have a good deal of my cards. I sent you guys pictures while we're kind of doing this show, but like I probably have over $1,000, maybe $2,000 in value of my cards. I mean, I don't really have any like anticipation on selling them, but the game has just been washed out by like resale.
It's a, it's in. I mean, like most industries, I guess now. But would you say, all right? So where does the resale kind of like that era kind of begin? If it does, if you can at least pinpoint it, does it come with the
I mean, I
fact
think
now
it's
that there? I didn't know that there were shiny cards available. Or is this a
yeah.
new thing?
No, it's not. It's not really new. I mean, when we were
When
young,
you say shiny
they had
cards, you mean of like the
Oh, so
shiny
shiny
Pokemon?
Pokemon,
That
shiny
is
yeah.
Pokemon
sick.
cards,
It's
not
not really
holographic.
new. I mean, when we were younger, they had the shiny. I don't know if you remember the Shining Gyarados. It was like the the name of the card was Shining Gyarados, and it was red Gyarados, kind of like out of the water with a bow, and it's a really dope card. But they've been around for a while, bro. But now Pokemon has like I bought some Shining Fates packs. I sent you guys the other day, and you're not going to get a shiny Pokemon out of every pack. I got a
Hmm.
Lapras out of this one for last week that I showed you guys, but I don't know. As far as like value is concerned, I don't know if it like makes the value anymore or not. I try not to like. I mean, I know Charizards are always going to be fucking valuable. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
that's the thing right now.
The
But
crazy thing
that's
about
a
that is like it's how Pikachu is famous because of the show, not because of the game. Charizard is famous because of the card game, not because of
yeah,
the game
for real,
itself.
for real. Like,
no. This I remember specifically kind of like the first you were telling me about these things, and then you would send me like a tweet of like, "Who's this fucker?" And it's like
yeah,
playing
I
this
was
game, and
pissed.
like, yeah,
I was
you
mad.
were, and you had absolutely every right to be. Like, I can see the charm in the unboxing videos, for instance. Oh, we're
Yeah, it's
unboxing. Let's see
very
what we
cute.
get. It's
Sure.
very because part of the experience is you have no idea what you're going to get.
The
Like,
little kid I
and
sent you.
right,
Did I send you that when he's like, "Oh, a
the one where he
Charizard."
pulls the Charizard is
So
like,
and
oh, shiny
that's why we
Charizard.
do
Oh
it.
my god.
That's how it should be. That kid's
I'm
not
gonna put
thinking
this
about
inside.
that kid's not thinking about selling that Charizard. Okay, he
No,
one thing is he
maybe the
wasn't wearing
parent
gloves.
is.
He wasn't wearing gloves when he opened his pack. Look, if you turn on one of these YouTubes and one of these dudes is wearing gloves when they open this pack, you know what's going on. Now, hey, get your money, bro. Like if I'm not gonna front on y'all. If I pulled Charizard, a shining Charizard, right? Like
You
there's a
might
good
drop
chance I'm
that
gonna
shit.
sell it. Like I'm not gonna front on you. Like, but that's not my motive though. Is what I'm trying to say. Like I'm not going to buy Pokemon cards to flip them.
There's also a
Mhm.
difference between you selling a card and somebody who's already a millionaire and doesn't care about the game at all,
Yeah,
driving up the general cost of 20
I
years worth of
man,
shit for fun.
that's what it, and that's my issue. That's my main
S-
issue.
So, over the last year or so, I've seen many names. I mean, some of them are in the Pokemon YouTube world, which is just it's just going to happen. I think there's only so much content between games that you're going to actually get that you can actually put on your YouTube, so it's going to happen. But I've seen names. I've seen Logan Paul. I've seen
Mm,
Logic, the rapper, or
yeah.
the used to be
What?
rapper or whatever. I've seen yes, Logic. Yes, Logic. He bought him. He opened them. I don't even know if he sold them, but he was definitely there. And a lot of other people kind of now in this world of like, wow, bought 20-year-old booster pack, first
Yeah.
edition.
I
Let's
seen
open
Chris
them up.
Brown was on this shit, bro.
Chris Brown?
Yeah, man. I done seen some things that just really like, man. And you
This is
already know
like when
how
you find out that an actor is a landlord also. It's like, you didn't need to do
you
this.
don't need to do this, man. And I honestly, I know John's gonna understand because he got kids. I got an 11-year-old brother, and like I said, man, it broke my heart because the packs that he got, I mean, he didn't get shit out of these packs, bro. Like, and I paid about $40 to get him these 3-4 packs, and I just it's part of the game. Sometimes you're not gonna get what you want. That's cool. He learned his lesson, but the fact that he had to learn it in this way, it kind of pissed me off. Like,
Damn.
I just
I'm
don't
sorry for
respect it.
laughing, but
No,
the
no,
way
no,
you're
bro.
saying
It is funny, like, because it's like, yo, it happened to me when I was a kid. You got to go through it. It is what it is, natural. But he went through it in a way that I think was not. It's not fun. Like sometimes you are excited to open a pack and you don't get anything and you just toss it up to the game like, oh fuck, well, oh well, next one I'll get them. But we couldn't even find these. It took a minute. Like it took a while, bro, and it's just
You
discouraging.
can't charge the game when there's millionaires taunting you about it on YouTube.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
No.
love Pokemon. I'll buy packs here and there just because, but I don't know if I can ever be fully invested, especially now as I was. I had text Meelz. I won a tournament at that Super Games. It was at a different location, but I guess it was maybe like 2 years now. 2 years ago, that was probably the last time I was really, really, really doing anything.
Right.
But yeah, man, I
Bowed
don't
out on
know.
top. Listen, I respect it.
I had a deck surrounded around Mega Skeptile EX, so that was fun times. But man, I love Pokemon cards. I always will. I think they should bring the game back. I'm an advocate. I mean, I understand they have an app for it, and you can play it on your iPad and on your MacBook or whatever. Like that's cool. But I think if they brought that shit to the Switch, man, hey, I'm all in.
Listen.
I know that
John,
the Magic Online game is really popular.
Yeah.
ooh. John, what would you say your recent experiences have kind of been with the trading card game and kind of your take on kind of everything that's going on now?
So like a lot of the same anger that Jeff's dealing with. Trying to go, take my son out, go pick up some packs, and there's just none anywhere. All the Target shelves are empty. Walmart, we go around to like 6 different stores, and then you finally find a card shop that has some, and they got it marked up like 4 times what it's supposed to be. And same situation he was in, where I got my son with me. We're looking for cards. I can't leave like a punk and be like, "Oh, we're not going to buy these cards because they're way more expensive than what they're retail at." Like, okay, we'll buy
$35, son.
Yeah, we'll buy some because I'm not going to disappoint my kid after we find these. But I just know I'm not going back to that store again. But I mean, it's kind of crazy, and it goes in cycles. Like, with the 20th anniversary, they released a couple sets. Like, they released the Evolutions cards, which were basically like just remakes of the original cards.
The original cards, yeah.
And so that was kind of popping. They released Generations, which had a ton of the original Pokemon, like, because the whole 20th anniversary was, really geared around, the original 151 and all that. And now, the 25th anniversary celebration, it seems like they're really kind of going around all the starters, and that's what they did with the McDonald's cards, which is a whole nother thing. You had people putting out like cases of McDonald's cards,
ridiculous.
Buying out whole cases of Happy Meals.
Let me get 24 Happy Meals.
Yeah, right. And and then trying to resell the cards for like they got a case of them, they want $1,000. It's like, come on, man. Like, there's only 25 unique cards in this whole case.
Yeah, right.
I just need 25 cards. That's all it is. But I mean, just anything where it's got the Pokemon name on it, people are going to try and and get money off of it right now because it's hot, and people are paying for it and people want it. It's kind of sad though, because at its heart, I mean, it's a kid's game, and it's supposed to be something that a parent can buy for their kids when they go to the store, and it's just not like that right now.
Not like that.
Yeah.
John, the 2016 that TGC Generations trainer box, the Elite trainer box, they got one at my store at Super Games down there. $999.
Oh man, yeah.
No cap.
No, I mean,
I'm gonna go in there and send a picture to you guys just to show like $1,000 for this trainer box.
Stuff that, I mean, and that's like 6 years ago, right? That came out.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is some really old, vintage box of cards. This is, something that, I mean, before all this, like, it really kind of kicked off, I guess probably like last like August or September. Was when it really started getting popping, because before that, like, I mean, you could find stuff just sitting on the shelves, and for years, like, stuff would just be sitting there. So like when I take my son to the store and he's like, "Hey, can I get a pack of Pokemon cards?" It's like you got shelves full of options, and then all of a sudden, because there's a pandemic and so shipments are getting constrained, and people are at home watching YouTube and they see Steve Aoki open up pack of Pokemon cards or something, they're rushing to the store to buy them so that they can resell them. And so even stuff that was like not selling is selling now because got to have something.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know. This is it's an insane world that we live in. I feel like no, it's actually not insane considering how I mean, it's the history of we talk about Pokemon, we talk about just America and it's like, culture and stuff like that of just like, oh my God, now we got to resell, especially reselling culture in this day and age now, and just taking something that has any worth of value or at least any sort of exclusivity to it and just saying like, and we're gonna add $100 to it and we're gonna mark it up.
Don't be
so
surprised.
Not,
I mean, like,
but
don't
Pokemon cards, y'all don't even know how to play the game. Y'all
don't know how
me
to play the game. Look, this the thing. I'm not surprised that this is happening. I'm just disappointed. Like I understand where this is coming from because, like I said, these cards were worth money when we were younger. It's just we weren't in that space to know. And now it's a completely different game because everyone has access to a chart that tells you what's worth what. So I'm more just like I'm disappointed because I'm not buying them like I used to. It's my little brother and it's his friends, kids that don't have jobs to get money. We're talking, it's just regular, hey, mom, can you get this for me? No, I can't because I don't know how.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean the experiences that we had as a kid, it definitely won't end up passing, at least in sort of a 1-to-1 fashion, especially if this kind of continues in the way. So everyone that you kind of see on YouTube, the Logan Pauls, the fucking Logic, ew. And the other people,
That's almost worse than Logan Paul.
Yeah. just kind of like exploiting the entire, I'm sure I don't even know because they're just like, yo, I'll do it for a video. Like, this costs a lot. Let me just spend 25 grand on it to buy it and then just open it and make my 25 grand back and views and shit
With
like
one
that.
Charizard,
Like,
who knows what else he gonna get?
yeah, like it's crazy. It's pronouncing it wrong and shit like that. I bet they pronouncing it wrong. With that said, I mean, I kind of want to end on a good note. I kind of want to end on a much more happier, less than and then the evils of humanity destroy the card game for everybody else.
It's still fun. It's still fun to collect. Still fun to get.
Just the most notable card that you have that you remember. I'll start with you, Pat, and then I'll go to Jeff, John, and then myself. Just notable card.
I mean, I did have. I don't know where some of these are now, but I had the Ancient Mew from the premiere of the first movie. That one was great. I did have a Charizard at one point. It was. I mean, I don't think it was a first edition. And I remember I got a kind of when I was on my way out at the door. I got a Meryl card before they were like kind of around stateside.
Nice.
And he was always one of my favorites from Gold and Silver and still is. And that was awesome. So, but I wasn't in the game long enough to have these huge. I mean, I had of course at some point I had like Blastoise and Venusaur, like because I had just from playing the starter sets and trading, you like kind of randomly have these cards at certain points. I don't know what happened to any of them.
Right. Jeff, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, probably my Ancient Mew card, which I still have. That's probably like my, my baby. There's some cards that I just generally love. I loved my Magmar card, the Fossil Magmar. I think it's just a really dope picture. Like, I just like the card. My Dark Charizard, I still have that. It's not in very great condition, but I have it. It's really cool. I do have second edition Blastoise and Venusaur. Those are really cool to have. I still have the original Raichu that's in really good condition. Original Alakazam's really good. But my Mew card is like, I don't think it's really worth anything at this point, but it's just that I remember so much. That was back when you go to movie theater and the line was wrapped around the actual movie theater, because it was an experience. So, yeah, that's just something I won't forget. So I would probably say my Ancient Mew card is really important to me.
John, what about you?
So, like I had all the, I remember I had like a couple first edition Charizards back in the day. I had, all these first edition cards. And then, I've got younger brothers that were way more into it than I was. So they, inherited all that and probably destroyed most of them.
Right.
What I've got left, I've got my Dark Charizard that is in horrible condition.
Oh, mine didn't make it either, John. Mine did not make it.
No, but it doesn't matter because I wouldn't sell it if it was in good
It's
condition.
awesome. Yeah, it's a great card.
So it's fine. I've got I've got a Dark Blastoise that's in terrible condition too. And so those are the ones that I've still got and still kind of keeping. I haven't in the newer stuff. I haven't pulled anything good really. I mean, I've pulled like some cool looking cards, but like nothing. No Charizards, no Fat Pikachu, nothing really cool. But eventually, like I'm gonna keep opening packs until eventually I get something.
Yeah.
Cool.
Of course. It makes me want to randomly buy one and just open it, to be honest with you.
Well, good luck.
I know, I'm looking at all this art right now. Like, don't do it, you son of a bitch.
They're really cool, dude. These cards look gorgeous, bro.
The shiny ones are beautiful. Like every single one of them looks nice. The baby shinies, like where it's just like a regular card, but it's shiny, and then like the full art shinies, like all of it, looks great. The newest set, Battle Styles, like those cards look great. There's a big, sleeping Tyranitar that's like a, really cool looking, card. And that's like the big chase card right now, I think, out of that set. But those are coming around a little bit more. Like the bright side, kind of, you wanted to end on a bright note, is that, they're flooding the market right now. Like it's gonna turn around where, stuff's starting to be available, like, maybe not the ETBs, and like the collections that people are, really fiending for, but like, you'll be able to probably in the next, few weeks or months be able to go into a Target and find, some booster packs at least.
Right.
Which is good. Like if, when I used to go shopping with my mom, like she'd be like, okay, you can get something like $5 or less. So I'd get a booster pack, right? And that's like just the perfect little, option for, not being a shithead in the store, and so, like having that option available for, parents to be able to, spoil their kids every now and then, is a nice thing. So hopefully that'll come back around.
I hope so. I don't remember much besides Moltres. I remember having all my cards. I feel like an idiot giving away all my. I was like, you obviously appreciate this more than me. I said it to someone who had like their whole collection just in a pack and just like it's pristine. And I was like, you obviously appreciate this more than me. At that point, I'd gone to Yu-Gi-Oh cards and had already begun flipping Yu-Gi-Oh cards, which I think I made a great deal on. Just in general, I was like, I'm not playing this anymore. They're at Noah's Ark. I don't know what this arc is. I'm done with the game. So I gave those away, and then I just gave my Pokemon cards away, and I kind of wish I didn't do that.
They probably bought the house off of you.
But yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But I'm like, what are you gonna do? I was a kid, dumb kid, and now I'm a dumb adult. So what are we gonna do?
Yeah, nothing changes.
Yeah, nothing changes at all. But John, thank you for coming on to the show, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This has been a blast.
Yeah, no problem. It's been a long time coming. Of course, as we said, April 30th, new Pokemon Snap, the game. That's literally the title of the game. It'll be out. Next month, we'll be back. Not sure what we're going to cover. Maybe it's a new Pokemon Snap, to be honest.
Never know.
Maybe it's new.
I'll have some info for y'all. Pat, are you getting it?
Yeah, I think I might.
Yeah, let's get Meelz. Let's push Meelz to the limit here.
I have Pokemon Go. When we get to that month, I will be in my element. Oh, right. There's a friggin' community day right now.
There is a community day right now.
I turned my game off to do this podcast. Really,
is it Spivey?
It's Snivy. Yes, it's Snivy.
Okay, cool.
But I got a couple.
I saw some cool Snivy images on Twitter today.
I mean, it's the game. When we get to the 5-year anniversary of the game, which is in July, then we'll get busy with Pokemon Go. Hopefully, we can get Pat at least to download the game until then.
Pokemon Go to the polls.
Wow.
Oh my god. But with that said, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been another episode of Mount Silver Podcast. Of course, you can subscribe to The Lookout on RNC Radio, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere where you can find podcasts. And you can follow us on Twitter at The Lookout RNC. You can follow us all collectively. If you want to, John, where can they go to harass you about Pokemon cards?
So I'm on Twitter at JFH2C is me.
There you go. And you can go, we can share why not? Listen, let's do this. Let's as soon as this episode comes out, I'm going to try to everyone share a memory or at least a card or something that they have. And let's try to get some positivity at least out of this era about this.
I just left a tweet too. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. Easy. But until then, we'll see you guys next month. Take care. Yeah.